We're live.
We are. It looks like we're live, so I'm just going to double check that for us. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and get kicked off and started. And as people start joining in, then they can catch our broadcast. Good morning and happy Wednesday, middle of the week for everyone. If you're working a regular, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday workday. But anyways, it's Wednesday, generally a good part of the week. Hopefully you all are staying warm. I am Juliette Abdel, your host for today's session, the president and CEO of the Westminster Chamber. I want to invite you onto our page. If you are a first-time viewer, then I encourage you to hit the like button here on our Facebook page, the follow button, so you can get alerted when we post content. If you are viewing this on our YouTube channel, which is where we're also streaming it, make sure you are subscribed there as well. And that gives you a nice notification. Even if you're not on the platform at all, it'll ping you and give you a notification that there is content on our YouTube page, Westy Chamber of Commerce. You can find us on there, and then of course here on Facebook. If you are a returning viewer, then you already know my asks of you, and that is to react to this video so that we can see who's tuned in with us this morning or afternoon or evening, whenever you might be watching this, or hit the share button on this video so others in your network can also see that we're live and can join us and tune in. Which takes me to the replay feature. If you are joining us later on, we still want to know that you tuned into this. Giving us the hashtag replay allows us to see any new comments that comes our way. It also allows us to see any questions. So if you did view this later on and you had a question for our guests that you weren't able to feed in, that would be the time to do so by clicking typing in that # replay and then entering your question. We'll be able to pull it and get it over to our guest. And if you are joining us live, then you are aware there's a comment section here on our videos that allows you to comment. Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can enter in any comments you might have on content that we're sharing or any direct questions that you may also have for us. Of course, these videos are available to you at any point in time to rewind, rewatch, pause, take notes, whatever feeds your individual interests. And with that, I can turn over to our topic for today, and that is our network welcome. We host these on Wednesdays to allow an opportunity for not only people that are always on virtually to be able to learn about our businesses, but it also allows us to see the faces behind each of the businesses that we have that are connected with our organization. So I'm always very excited to have an opportunity to visit with all of my guests. And Dr. Ellington, thank you so much for being on here with us today.
You're welcome. I'm excited.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I know you are fitting us in a block. Literally, you just got done with another patient. You're with us, and you probably have another busier rest of the morning into afternoon. So we have you carved out for a few minutes with us to talk a little bit about who you are, let us know about the business, and answer questions. We'll get started with the very first, and that is, who is Dr. Ellington? Are you from the area? Did you just relocate here? How long have you been doing what you're doing?
Okay, lots of things there. So I'm Dr. Brett Ellington, doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. I've been in private practice for 16 years now. I did grow up in Colorado Springs, went out to California. That's where I got my education, my master's and my doctorate there, and then ran private clinic there for 15 years. Also ran a franchise of clinics, had 11 clinics from Marin County, Corte Madera, just north of San Francisco, all the way down to San Diego. So pre-COVID, that was pre-COVID, had over 30 employees working for me. And then COVID happened. I don't know if you guys heard about that out here, but yeah, so now there's 4 clinics left anyway. I resigned that position, moved out here, slowed down my life a little bit. That was getting really overwhelming, felt it aging me. So wanted to come back to Colorado. My mom's still here, my brother's still here, and set up in Westminster. I always said if I moved back to California or Colorado, I was going to move to Westminster, which
Okay, so now that begs me to ask why Westminster, that you had that already kind of in the plans of if you did come back.
I loved Westminster. I didn't come up to Denver a lot, but I did have some friends that previously lived up here, and that was just an area that I really liked. I knew I didn't want to go back to Colorado Springs. Sorry if anybody hears from Colorado. I have no desire.
It's a different environment. I mean, different communities in Colorado have definitely different vibes, right? And it's whether or not that's something you want to continue to be a part of and live in on a daily basis. Totally okay. I'm down in the Springs quite often myself, but this is about you. And we touched on California and the nearly dozen different clinics that you were overseeing, and then coming back to your roots here in Colorado and starting up in Westminster. So has it been a couple of years that you've opened up here officially in Westminster?
No, just this past August. So it's been 5 months, middle of August when I got my business license and was able to open up. So yeah, it's still all pretty fresh. I've been doing a lot of networking, lots of SEO to build up the business, but it's moving. It's something that I've done before, so it's just it's weird starting from zero again. But I love it. I love the building. I love
the building phase can be it could be cumbersome, but it could be very exciting if you're that person that really you see the potential for where it goes. And I know you do, because this is your line of work. So you're I know where I want it to go. And so slowly moving it to that is probably filling your cup along the way. And absolutely. I love you took a step back and looked at yourself personally and health wise and just everything, and reassessed where you were and how you wanted to be essentially, and started back from scratch. That's a brave thing to do. So congrats on 5 months that you're hitting now. So Inner Balance Acupuncture is your business, business name. What are the services that you all offer?
So we do acupuncture, also do microneedling. I do microneedling for beauty for the skin, and red light therapy along with that. I'll do injection therapy for trigger point injections. I would be doing prolotherapy if there wasn't a nationwide shortage on dextrose. So we can't get dextrose, so we can't do those, but I can still do trigger point injections, B12 shots, MIC injections, which are for weight loss. Can do different types of mineral injections, salines, herbal remedies, things like that. So there's a lot.
That is quite a bit. So for the commoner that may not have ever experienced some of these services, so I know you mentioned some of these that you're not able to bring in, but even the multi-point, can we break that down a little bit for them? So if they're coming in with, what are they feeling that they would want to come in and seek some of those services, right? Some of them you shared, if it's for fat loss or weight, it supports specific things, but some of the others.
Well, do you want me to start with acupuncture?
Sure. Since that's in your name, I feel like that would be the main one.
Let's start with that one. That's a good call. So most people come in for pain. That is the number one thing people come to acupuncture for, because that's what they know it for. And the number one thing on that is going to be back pain. But little secret here, acupuncture is a primary form of healthcare for about 30% of the population of the planet. I should say acupuncture and Chinese medicine. So we treat all sorts of things. Anxiety, depression, PTSD. It's great for insomnia, digestive issues, respiratory issues, women's health. It's just I don't want to say everything. We don't treat cancer. You can't treat cancer. But it's just a whole variety of issues. World Health Organization's said it's good for over 50 issues.
Wow.
National Institute of Health, same thing. So it's become widely accepted now. I don't even consider it alternative medicine anymore because the military bases are hiring acupuncturists. The VA does acupuncture. Virtually every insurance company now accepts acupuncture. So it's not really alternative anymore.
Yeah, that's great to know. I actually was unaware that the insurance component now covers that.
Yeah, not well.
Yeah,
but they do. They've been covering it for well over a decade now. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's terrific. So, like I said, it is pretty mainstream now. So, acupuncture we do, and then the microneedling. Start off with infrared light therapy, which helps to regenerate the skin, elastin, collagen. It's great for getting rid of fine lines, wrinkles, hyperpigmentation on the skin, sagging skin. And with the microneedling, you're adding. We use professional grade serums that the microneedling is like almost like a tattoo gun, but not as painful as tattoo gun. And it's 12 needles. It just barely goes in, and it's activating the kind of like an immune response. And then with the serums, it just allows your body to absorb it better. And then we talk about injection therapy, any sort of trigger points. I've had patients come in where they were supposed to get an epidural, but opted to do some trigger point injections first, which we use homeopathic, anti-inflammatory, muscle relaxant, saline solution, and B12, because the B12 helps to regenerate nerve tissue. So I've been able to do that on patients, and then they didn't need the epidural after that.
So what I probably like the most is that you have such a diversity in what you offer in your services, and you're more than what your name actually says. So when I first read it, I was like, oh, okay, just acupuncture services, but you provide a larger scale of the different services that are there. Some of these are found in our community through some providers, and then others are definitely not. So I guess the question that I'd like to ask is, how do you differentiate yourself from some of the things that are already out there, or what makes your company a little bit more unique in that arena?
I listen. That's what I think that really differentiates me, is that I listen. So when someone comes in and they're saying, I have this issue, a lot of times you go to a Western practitioner, your Western medicine doctor, they're gonna say, okay, here's your pill for that condition. Well, a lot of times that's not the root cause. So maybe it puts the Band-Aid on that condition, but then you've got the root cause underlying. So a lot of times people come in with sleep issues, but their digestive system's messed up. And I'll always ask that when someone says they have insomnia. I'm like, how's your digestion? Oh, it's bad, but I really want to work on my sleep. I'm like, okay, here's why I ask. Over 90% of the serotonin in your body's produced in your digestive tract. Serotonin is your happy drug. Serotonin is also a precursor for melatonin, which helps to regulate your sleep cycle. So if I don't fix the digestive system, then we're not really going to get to the root cause of why they're not sleeping.
Yeah, I love that holistic picture. So, and there's a quote out there, that re-emphasizes more of the Western type of medicines. And again, we're not discounting that or the effectiveness of some of that. This is, in addition, here's something else that's out there. But one of the quotes that's out there is that you're going to your doctor and everything for a particular time, right? So that 20-minute window, or sometimes less, but you're going to them with that just that one problem, right? They're not seeing the full picture of what your life is like and what is going on the other times. And so I love that approach that you take to asking those additional questions of, what is your life really like, and what could be causing this particular issue, rather than, okay, here's the issue, we've got this time, let's address it on the immediate and see if it takes care of it.
Yeah. So I run into that a lot. I was talking with someone about that yesterday, and a recent patient I had who came in with a numbness in his feet.
Oh my gosh.
I asked her, like, okay, are you diabetic? Nope. Have you had chemotherapy lately? Nope. Are you an alcoholic? Nope. How's your back? That's fine. I'm like, I think it's coming from your back. I treated his back. His feet are better.
Oh, nice.
To me, that was the root cause.
Yeah. It's kind of like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And when when you put it together, you're like, oh my gosh, that works, right? Like that's pretty neat. So
Yeah.
where are you located here in Westminster?
I am on 120th and Tejon. Tejon.
Tejon, yes.
Tejon? You say Tejon here?
Hmm.
Okay.
I say it like that. If I'm wrong, I'm a transplant though. You should be on point because you're
Well,
originally from
there's a
Colorado.
Tejon in Colorado Springs, but I heard people pronounce it differently here, and I don't remember how they said it.
Yeah,
Like
I say Tejon. Yeah.
Pecos is really Pecos. Zuni is Zunai.
Yeah.
So
Good to
anyway,
hear.
so I'm on
No.
the corner on the southwest corner of Tejon and 120th, which is the entrance to the Ranch Country Club. So
Yes. Oh, I know exactly where you are. And I've even put in the address for folks directly in the chat so that they can find it regardless of whether or not we're pronouncing it correctly. But they can find it right there in those buildings. And that is a space I'm very familiar with that's out there. I see Gerald and
second
Rex.
second floor.
Second floor.
I'm on the second floor.
But that's right. Yeah. Suite
Yep.
13.
Suite
Okay.
13.
It's like, oh my gosh, did I pull it?
No, that's all correct.
Good deal. Quick hello to Rex. I also see you, Gerald. Thank you guys for tuning into the broadcast. We have Inner Balance with us, and Dr. Ellington has been kindly sharing a little bit more about what he offers, what they do, a little bit about himself and his background, having studied this and practiced it for a number of years. And do you ever have people that question the science behind what you do, or maybe where you studied as opposed to, because some of these originated in other parts of the world as opposed to being here? So has there ever been that curiosity from folks to know a little bit more about the education piece?
Daily. Yeah, I sometimes people will say, hey, does that really work? And I don't know what they expect. No, I've been fooling people for 20 years now. Yeah, it works. It's highly documented. There's tons of research on it. I remember at UCLA years ago, they were doing a study. They wanted to try and disprove it, and then they found out that it worked. There was a point on your feet that is supposed to improve your vision. So they did what's called a PET scan, which is a quick snap of the brain and what nerves are firing. And they would shine a light in people's eyes and would see that the optic nerve light up. And then the same thing happened with this acupuncture point. So UCLA ended up having an acupuncture center now. So they're actually doing research there, and a lot of major universities are doing acupuncture research. I mean, it's been around for thousands of years. There's vets that do it, which I love. It works on animals. You and I have a placebo effect. It can give you a sugar pill and tell you it's something different, and you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel better. But animals don't have a placebo effect. So, if a horse is limping and they do acupuncture and it's not limping anymore,
That's real. Yeah,
it works. It
for
works.
sure.
I've got
It's
hundreds of testimonials.
Yeah, it's always so fascinating to see that there are parts of us that we are still exploring and still understanding even more as humans, and these types of as you're sharing, comparing us to even animals and just little things like that, you're like, makes you wonder how much there's still left for us to unlock. But you did just answer one myth for me, which was that acupuncture is purely an Eastern practice. So thank you for doing that. I am transitioning us to some of the myths that are out there around maybe acupuncture or apprehension for why someone wouldn't want to reach out to you and do business with you, so that we can try and see, are these real things, or is this just too many social media posts or Google reviews that they read that are lies to them, essentially.
Right. I
So
think one other thing, people are worried that it hurts. We have a general fear of needles, I think, in America here. I mean, you can't sell from as many tattoos people have now, but typically people are raised with getting vaccinations or blood drawn, and that's their only experience with needles. And those are big needles. They hurt. But the needles we use are pre-sterilized, single use. They're very thin. They're flexible. I more correlate it with a cat's whisker. very thin. I can fit a dozen needles inside the hollow portion of the needle that they use to draw blood. That's how small they are. So
Wow.
I don't want to say that you don't feel it. You can still feel it, but I don't think it hurts any worse than having one single hair plucked. Just
Interesting.
that quick
Yeah.
little sensation.
All right. Well, thank you for answering this one without even, I told you, you're just like on a roll without even me asking you what the question is. You're moving into it.
Well, that was kind of
right. It's like a fun fact.
The myths that people have.
Yeah, totally. And I would have expected it to be so much more painful. So I mean, I would, but that wouldn't be the reason why I mean, I subject myself to pain just for random things all the time, right? But but that is one of those that's out there.
The acupuncture treatment is no more pain than people go through every single day of their life.
Definitely.
So it's much less, and it's relaxing. And very often people actually fall asleep on the table with needles
while doing that. Yeah. That's impressive.
That's pretty relaxing.
So is it true that acupuncture is in fact expensive?
I guess that's subjective. There's a saying I remember, it's like, you think living healthy and eating healthy is expensive, try chemotherapy. Western medicine can be really expensive. We do have insurance for most of that. But in the grand scheme of things, I mean, I've had health issues and tried a lot of different things and spent a lot of money with no to minimal results. So, I mean, it's probably comparable with massage.
Right. But you answered it super well in a couple of the statements that you made, and that was in the short term versus long term, right? So that's where it becomes subjective. But if you're looking at that longer term, right, like you're preventing particular health issues from coming up, you could potentially be using different drugs or going to numerous other providers or other hospital visits that this could hopefully prevent you from having to go through any of those additional. And as you shared at the very start, that some of the insurers are starting to cover some of these acupuncture for services as well.
Yeah, and if I can touch on something you just said there, where I'm not anti-Western medicine at all, and I always encourage patients, go get your blood work done, get the MRI, X-ray, CAT scan, ultrasound. They have some of the greatest diagnostic tools in the world. But just because you go doesn't mean, and I have a lot of people that come to me and say, I don't want to go to the doctor, they're going to put me on medication. You don't have to take the medication, but look at it and decide, be informed. And I think that's something great that younger generation is a lot more on this now, where they're becoming very informed on what are the alternatives. Because when you take a pharmaceutical, there's times where you absolutely have to, there's times where you absolutely need to have a surgery, but when you take a pharmaceutical, it mandates a change in your body. It's going to make that happen right away. And when that happens, there's side effects. With acupuncture and Chinese medicine, I use a lot of Chinese herbs and I'll customize herbal formulas. We're facilitating change in the body. The body's an amazing healing machine, but for some reason, bad diet, sedentary lifestyle, injury, trauma, disease, something has gone wrong and it's not functioning at the level that it should. So using acupuncture and Chinese herbs, we want to build the body back up naturally without those side effects. And most things we can get people there.
Yeah, I love that explanation.
But like I said, we're facilitating change as opposed to mandating change.
Yeah, as opposed to it's kind of like like a reset, like a natural reset, as opposed to having it go through that and going through it, not necessarily being ready to go through it because it's being pushed into that approach. So this next myth is a little unique. I didn't know it was out there, but it's out there, and that acupuncture is unhygienic.
No. I'll expand on that. Okay. No, it's not. All the acupuncture needles are pre-sterilized, single use. I think maybe 100 years ago or so.
Okay.
It wasn't so much, but so the needles are single use, so you don't get anybody else's needle. Nobody gets yours. We clean off the spots we're going to put the needles in with isopropyl, 70% isopropyl alcohol. There's nothing dirty about it. It's not unclean. Who said that?
Well, I think you're right. It was because, and it could have been a long time ago, but it was this idea that needles were transferred from, and due to that, so it was needles transfer illnesses from one patient to the next.
So probably up until the 70s. I don't know when they started, but they used to put them in a autoclave,
Okay.
which is like a
Yeah.
pressure cooker type
Mm-hmm.
thing. And they used to do that to sterilize the needles, the same thing they would do with medical equipment.
Mm-hmm.
But when that happened, the more you did that, because the needles are so thin, they would become brittle. So I said they stopped doing that back in the 70s, and then went to all pre-sterilized disposable needles. And that's the law in every single state. Every single state, you have to use the pre-sterilized needles, and you dispose of them right after you use them. So, yeah, whoever said that,
Right.
shush.
Take it off. Yeah. Stop spreading that thought. No.
The
But
lie.
I mean, it seemed like it was valid for a while until several decades ago. So that's changed. And that's always, that's a great thing about a new industry once it's introduced, is sometimes it takes a little bit of time for things to be worked through. And then with that, you have to overcome those things that have come up as it came live and came to fruition. This next myth is around patients getting easily addicted to acupuncture. And I've even heard this not just with it seems like it's everything, right? Like you go to a chiropractor, you're addicted to going to a chiropractor or getting a massage, and so they start questioning, is it actually like fixing something, or is it, you're just going to go, right? Like, I think that's the premise with some of these myths when I hear it around all those different industries.
Man, I hope it's true. That would be great for business.
You're like, great business, returning clients.
First one's free, and then after that, pay. I think anything can become habitual. People get addicted to working out because they feel good. So I have had patients that came in because of a certain condition. I remember in California, I had a patient. She originally came in for neck pain, and she was scheduled for a surgery, and then she didn't need the surgery. Well, she came to see me for 15 years. Wow. And she would come in virtually every single week because she was a teacher, and she would get sick a lot, but she found when she was getting acupuncture treatments, she wouldn't get sick as often, and definitely not as severe as a lot of the other teachers. And she just slept better. She felt better. Whatever ailments that she was starting to get, we'd catch them very early on. So, yeah, I don't know if that's an addiction, but yeah, some people just
addicted to feeling good, maybe, right? Like the effects of what
when I eat better.
Yeah, to getting healthier. So here's another myth, and it's a myth around acupuncture conflicting with medication or other medical treatments, physical therapy. Does it have a direct negative effect that you are aware of?
No. That's all myth right there. However, I will say with medication, Chinese herbs can, but I will say probably every acupuncturist out there, we're trained with what herbs are contraindicated with certain medications. And if I'm customizing herbal formulas for someone, I always have their medication list. So I'll always go through that and make sure nothing's bad. Now, a lot of times people say, well, I want to check with my doctor first. And the doctor's going to say no, because they don't study Chinese medicine. They don't study the herbs. Like, I've already done that. We do it because we're under probably more of a microscope of the practice, because there's still the stigma of it being alternative. Right. But yeah, I'm going to make sure that whatever I'm giving someone doesn't counteract as far as Chinese herbal. Whereas like the doctors study the pharmaceuticals, but they're not studying Chinese medicine. So their immediate response is typically,
yeah, it's an unknown. Yeah, for sure. And that feeds in a little bit to this next one that I was going to pull up. And that was that you need a doctor's referral or prescription for acupuncture. You don't.
You do not. You do not. You can come right in. You can call us at 720.
Yes. So what is it? It's 720.
720-361-6870.
There we go. Thank you. I was going to ask you for that here in a little
Yeah,
bit.
you
Anyway.
don't need a prescription. You don't need a doctor's referral. I am the doctor, pseudo doctor. I always say
Yeah.
pseudo doctor. My mom likes to say my son the doctor, but
Oh,
I say if I'm in a restaurant and someone
right. Like you have
collapses
to emphasize you're
and then
not.
they yell, "Is there a doctor in the house?" I'm gonna keep.
Yeah, you're gonna keep eating. It's not well. Hopefully, you're gonna get up and try and like call someone. You know.
I mean, I have gone over to help in certain situations.
Right.
When I was
It's
in the
like that.
Marines, I did go through EMT training,
Yeah.
so I have a lot of beyond basic understanding of emergency situations. So.
Excellent. Well, was there something? I know I've been peppering you with a lot of questions about you, about the services that you offer at your place of business, which are incredibly diverse. And I will include a link to your website so people can go and see and learn more about it. But was there anything in particular that you were hoping to get across today that we haven't had a chance to touch on, either with the questions, with your intro, or any of those details?
I guess probably want to say I do specialize in treating migraine headaches. That was what I really focused on in California. 95% success rate, reduction of intensity, frequency, duration. I love treating TMJ issues. Have a massive success rate on that. With all the years that I've been doing this, I figure I've treated over 30,000 patients, put over 500,000 needles in people. I've seen tons of conditions. The youngest patient I treated was 2 weeks old. The oldest patient was 98. And I treated them both in the same week. That was kind of a cool.
Yeah. I bet. It shows like just the spectrum of people that can benefit from this. And yeah.
It's pretty amazing. And so I've done a lot. I've been an expert witness for acupuncture malpractice cases. So I just think, I have a well-rounded knowledge in this, and I love what I do. So
yeah. Well, it shows. I see it in the back with a lot of your degrees and certificates, and the way you listen and approach things with your customers or clients. It really is doing business in a way that's mindful of them and trying to gain as much knowledge that you can be as supportive as possible.
Yeah, my wall, I call it my wall of debt. So these are all.
That one was worth, 50,000. This one was worth. Start putting labels like the dollar amounts, like $1 sign on the cheapest. Yeah. So for those of you that are tuned in with us now or later, the website that you can go to is innerbalanceacupuncture.com. That's included for you. If you have questions, you can always contact them through that website or even give them a call. Their phone number is 720, and that's listed for you here on the screen and in the chat section. Additionally, they're located right off 120th and Tejon in that business park on the second floor. So make sure that when you drop in to say hello, that is where you can find them. And if you have particular questions or had an individual isolated issue or maybe thought that you wanted to get across, you can always DM the page. Sometimes we get that if people aren't comfortable asking unique to their condition, we'll get that out to our guest and he'll be able to answer that question. But I do want to welcome you officially into Westminster, into our business community with the Chamber. I'm very excited to have some thoughtful and creative ways that we can continue to provide health and wellness and educate the public on these amazing resources that are out there.
I love it. I'm here to serve and educate. Finally figured out my purpose, and that's it. So I love doing talks. I love just answering questions and helping people get better.
Well, I thank you so much for feeding us a few of these amazing stats and information this morning, and I appreciate you being on here with us. For those of you that are tuned in, we'll be back on here on Monday with another one of our with our mayor. Our mayor will give kind of a quick update on city updates and what's going on. Council did have some issues with streaming on Facebook and YouTube, but they do have a GoToMeeting link. I know I referenced how you can virtually tune in this past Monday, so we'll include that link into the previous broadcast. You can find that recorded replay at your convenience. And with that, I want to wish everyone a wonderful rest of your day. Stay with me, Dr. Ellington, as we exit out of this broadcast. Thank you.
Thank you.